playing on, of course, is game number one. Want to dig a bit deeper into it, so let's go with our pick bans. Of course, 7 map pool. You take them all down, 6 of them. Ban, 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 and our decider is Cafe Dostoevsky. So a map that requires a lot of technical knowledge as well for the attackers to be very effective on it. Because I don't know about you, for me, and this is what I want to toss to you guys. For me, reading seems to be that site that is just so powerful to use for the defenders just because you have access to Goyo and Wamai and Jaeger all together. It's very frustrating for a lot of teams to deal with. But from all the matches you guys have been watching and seeing, and even your own games and such, especially for you, Jess, and your own experience in the past, does that actually translate into reality or not?
Yeah, look, I think it depends entirely on the play style as well. You've got a lot of teams that like to play really vertically and whatnot. So reading is great if you want to have vertical control because people can just rush in and plan inside reading, or they can even rush into fireplace and get that plant down as well. So I think it's really important that we just monitor the play styles, specifically aggressive play styles that we've been seeing from certain teams. But Cafe specifically, and I'm sure James would back me up on this. I mean, we just saw this last week, or not even last week, 2 play days ago, or yesterday, the last play day that we had, because we had to miss out on the EU one. I'm missing my days, James. We missed the EU in between.
Right.
Here we go.
To me too. I was going to say last week as well. Yeah. So
but the last play day, they played Cafe. So what can you expect them coming in and doing the same thing? Can't they really be counted at this point?
Yeah, Talon played Cloud9. They got 5-7, so just edged away a loss. And I like the idea from Talon here. They don't have a really wide map pool, so they banned out a lot of FAV's best map. We ended on Cafe, but FAV does have a lot of opportunity to counter-strat them. I feel like FAV is favored going into this.
How do you actually build up from the losses? What do you need to learn from it for this matchup? Because I mean, it really depends on whether or not you lost in the previous matchup for it. And because all the games were so close, only like a +2 round differential for each and every single one of them. Those are very close to being, swinging the completely other way.
I think for Cloud9, they put up a really good showing against Talon. They only edged them out ever so slightly. So I think for Talon, they're going to be looking back at that VOD specifically and going, I know what mistakes we made, and therefore when we bring it up against our opponents here today, we're going to be ready. I think that's probably not the smartest thing to do because there's a lot of op bans they might be able to do to counter their play styles and might throw them off a bit. So even if they've worked on their mistakes, I don't think that taking the same map 2 play days in a row is always the best choice, but we'll see whether or not those mistakes have been rectified.
Well, James, I mean, you're looking at all of these mistakes and how to work with them. I really want to kind of break things down a bit more on that, and then give me your idea on how that game will go.
I think for Talon, something they struggled with was going up against Cloud9 in clutch situations. So when Cloud9 had like 1 player left, we saw some great clutches, Nova in particular on the reading bomb site. And FAV have some really good gunners. So Talon has to take a little bit more confidence into their ones and maybe play a bit better around each other, especially when they're in a numbers advantage, to make sure that doesn't slip away from them.
All right, let's go with what people think about this matchup, though. So we're going to bring up those numbers on the board. Again, you can go and vote on all these matches yourselves. So for APAC, first go on the Rainbow Six Esports APAC account. And oh my God, that is so one-sided. 94% onto the FAV gaming side, and Talon going away with
those Japanese
6.
fans.
It has to be.
I mean, look. FAV Gaming definitely have big support in the region, right? We talked about it before. It's Cyclops, FAV Gaming, and Norengo that are kind of the big 3 in Japan. So I'm not surprised, but man, let's see if it translates into that in game actually.
Yeah, look, FAV have a lot of experience here. They've got Shin, who actually won the very first ever APAC Pro League. So a lot of experience on the FAV side. They came second in the Japan Pro League, which is a really strong region. And on the flip side, Talon, look, they didn't even play in Pro League. They failed to qualify in the previous season, Season 10, through Challenger League. But they did do really well in the Korea Open, beating teams like Scars. But still, Talon are yet to take on even the best that Korea has to offer in Cloud9. So I am definitely going to go with FAV here. That said, I'm all good for an underdog story, so I'm keen to see if Talon can put up a fight.
I mean, you're talking about Talon and what they really need for this one. Are there any specific operator bans that they would have to go for, just because we've seen this as a translation of, a couple of days ago's game?
Yeah, look, I expect Thatcher to be taken off the board. I mean, FAV bans Thatcher quite consistently, so I just expect that to go off the board immediately. So we've also seen FAV ban out Mozzie. So I'm wondering whether or not FAV is just going to turn around and do like a really poignant target ban towards, you know, the likes of Talon. And if that's the case, then maybe that's going to throw Talon off. I think for Talon, they need to be careful that some of their really key ops here might be banned out and they need to be adaptable. So I'm going to throw it to FAV on this one as well, just because I think they might have the edge out on Talon here.
All right, well, our matchup is ready. It's Cafe Dostoevsky, FAV, starting off versus Talon. All yours, casters.
Thank you, Gassan. And well, as James just said, he's all up for a good underdog story. We kind of had one last time around, Gio.
Yeah, you know, a little bit. Both these teams have kind of come in as a little bit of an underdog, but of course, Talon very much taking, I suppose, the lead in that race a little bit. They have come in as this kind of project team who've been put together, see if they can take on the best. They went against their nemesis in Cloud9 on the first Playday, and it didn't work out in their favor. And as they said, it was actually on this map as well. So there's going to be a lot here to prove for Talon. And especially, you know, both of these teams currently sitting on a loss right now. Whoever it is that wins this game will be getting their first win, but whoever it is that loses, it's going to push them down in that very key Swiss system that we have. And if Talon end up in that position very early on, it's going to be pretty hard for them to pull themselves out of that and prove that they can go against the best as this project team.
Yeah, definitely. That is going to be an important part. So let's get into Cafe and see how these two teams will match against each other. Of course, we've had Talon play Cafe Dostoevsky, well, 2 days ago, giving some space and time for FAV to look what was being done and, well, what they can, well, basically capitalize on, because it was a lot to be shown. Basically, the full amount of rounds were played right there, and FAV, if they had time, definitely should have something out of that one to use.
I think the really interesting thing to look out for with FAV is, as they kind of said on the analyst desk, is, you know, they did fairly well. Shin obviously really showed up. He's this veteran player for the team, but one of the players who we were looking out for on Playday 1 was number 2. He was the player who had the best statistics in all of Pro League Japan in the last season. He's new to the team, but he actually had a really, really poor showing the other day. Now, if he can be enabled and if he can look really strong on this, that's going to put Talon in an even worse position. So now just have a look at those
Thatcher.
Operator bans. At this point, it's sort of like a given, right?
Now, both teams banned Thatcher the last Playday, so I was like, we're definitely going to see a Thatcher ban coming in, and then there we go. But I mean, who didn't ban Thatcher in a match? I think it was banned literally every single match.
I was going to say, how many games have we actually seen where Thatcher hasn't been banned so far? I mean, even the Thatcher Maverick combined together is becoming way more popular at the moment, but instead they're going to be banning Ying, so those Candelas will not be able to be used against them, and of course they won't be able to do it as well. And that's kind of interesting because we've seen quite a bit of Ying play in North America so far, but in Europe and APAC it's not really something that's come up. So, you know, whether or not FAV Gaming have seen something that Talon have done in the past and they've decided to do a target, or they just want to kind of cover their backs, that's quite interesting. I'm super interested in the fact that Maestro has been banned, because Maestro is pretty much the best operator on the side of Talon Esports. We saw Labyrinth the other day get some fantastic clutches using the Maestro. PMW is also pretty good at him, and it just seems to be the operator that Talon historically have been the strongest on. They have players who play him very, very well. So not only will you lack that utility that come for things like the Evil Eye, but you also getting rid of your opponent's arguably strongest operator.
Yeah, definitely. Sound with Echo, of course, still being default banned. That is going to be an operator you don't have to. Opening up other avenues, and well, here you see it. The Maverick being banned straight away. However, as Talon went for the exact same bans as they did last time on Cafe for the Valkyrie and Thatcher, it means Mira is going to be opened up, and they have the opportunity to use it. In my opinion, Mira can be very effective on Cafe in the top floor. Reading room, if you want to play there, you often see like a mirror above as well, because it makes it so more hold off to that cigar, to hold off to the cocktail lounge. And you know, those are two kind of key positions if you want to hold off into reading room.
Well, evidently the mirror is not going to be brought. Instead, Talon have opted to go with operators that are going to demand a lot of utility from FAV Gaming and potentially slow things down. You've of course got the castle, but not only that, the mutant Mozzie combination, which is going to make intel a lot harder for them to be able to gather. You've got the pulse, which is going to give them more information as those attackers start to come down through the top floor. BD will be able to sit there, he'll be able to hand over that information to his team, whilst FAV Gaming have to work a little bit harder to get information for themselves. So evidently, Talon, knowing that they're going up against an aggressive team with these very, very good gunners, the analyst mentioned it at the start, they're going to try and play their strengths elsewhere, deny the intel from them as much as they can, while also giving them the advantage in that. And I think that's quite smart. Rather than trying to play FAV at their own game, they're trying to deny what they can, what is available to FAV to make them good at what they do.
I'm gonna have to point out, I like the way that it put down that Mozzie, open up the first flooring, so you can put it in the second. I saw a video come by earlier today that if it's placed on one of the posts, you can just simply jump past, and this kind of completely ruins that. You're no longer going to be able to do that, and meaning that if a drone wants to go through there, will definitely be caught by one of the players of Talon, and we're not going to be able to bypass that by simply jumping past the door frame. So good adaptation of that to come in straight away. Hope it's going to be able to catch a drone, but of course we don't know as of yet. Hope that window was going to be prepped, but it's not going to be prepped. Swapping over to the shotgun though. No, should have done it with the pistol. Not a single point of damage being done right into Afro. Also using the suppressor onto this Zofia gun. Not sure if it's also less recoil for the C762, but could be the case.
They really do like their suppressors here.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Well, the washroom wall is going to be open pretty quickly. I think another interesting thing that has to be paid attention here is that Talon are going to have a relatively hard time trying to execute some flanks, given that the Nomad is on the board. She's a relatively popular ban here on Kaveh Dostoyevsky. So having her in the hands of Chloroform may make that all a little bit harder for them. Most of them have now entered into the building with less than half of the round to go. And so far, they're just still trying to gather what information they can. And as that wasn't so much a run out, but that shot through the window didn't quite work out for them, there are still all 10 men on the board.
They still found a way around it, just jumping over the balcony right there. Tro managed to get some information right there, and Afro is going to be right on it to try and get some pick right here as he's moving through the top floor. We'll be taking down that Mozzie drone, but there's still going to be a player up there behind this bar. It's going to be Egg that is just holding up tightly. Yes, he is going to be able to run in from there, but the entry frag goes up to Egg himself. We'll be following that up. Number 2, however, is going to be able to catch one, not the second, as Tamura is just a bit too quick, jumping over that fencing.
Well, luckily, number 2 has been able to retrieve the diffuser, but FAV Gaming weren't really able to get the upper hand in the trades there, but another frag grenade comes out, and that brings down Labyrinth, and he was that player who's been so clutch for Talon in the past. So this could make things harder as it gets towards the end of the round, but with just 11 seconds left to go, and PNW on a tear with a 2K, it looks like that round is going to be going very comfortably to Talon Esports.
Indeed, win super comfortably to them. It already started out with Egg getting that entry right there onto that Zofia that tried to go aggressive, instantly followed up by Tomorrow as well. At that moment in time, there was not that much time left for the likes of FAV to actually try and make something work right here. And thus the first round will be going to Talon in that reading room. The site's highlighted by our desk right before this game started, showing that it's actually very valuable for the defense side, as you can just bring so much utility to make sure you keep that in control. And that's exactly what Talon did right there. They managed to drain the time, forcing FAV to go a bit too aggressive. But now we're going to the kitchen, service and cooking. So let's see whether or not FAV is going to be able to make some quicker work right now, or if it's going to be Talon that is going to be capable of stalling enough time.
So just having a look at how Talon did when they were on their defense going against Cloud9 on Playday 1, they actually really struggled with this site. They were able to defend successfully the second time that they came to Kitchen, but not the first time. So that shows that maybe they learned a little bit from that game from Cloud9, and maybe they'll be a bit better prepared when coming into this against FAV. Once again, bringing interesting lineup of operators. That Kaid, of course, going to be able to electrify the bakery wall, the freezer wall. Those are typically the two that you would go for. Now make it a lot harder for FAV to start to come in. They've got the Hibana, but they don't have the Thatcher. That's why you've got to rely on the Maverick. And we've seen instances so far this week where the Maverick, okay, goodbye Hibana, you're just going to have the Maverick this time. So that does get rid of those X-Kairos for you, and you're going to be running with just that singular hard breacher. There's going to be a lot more responsibility on him this time. And that's pretty disappointing there for FAV. You don't want to be losing a player just so early.
No, definitely not, but it's a good start right here from Talon by just making sure they instantly take down one of the hard breachers. Now, of course, if you would have had Typhon down, it would have been, well, even more so valuable due to the fact that it's going to be basically impossible for you at that moment in time to open up onto that site. You'd have to, well, force yourselves through these choke points as the doors. But as he is still up, he is going to be making his way through. He's actually roam clearing on that Maverick. That's something that might be a bit worrying, as this is your only hard breach. He's on front. He's the spearhead of the attack. I wouldn't do that if I was FAV, especially not as Shin got taken down. Might be better to just put number 2 on the spearhead.
I have to say, I'm kind of interested. I think they only half reinforced the freezer wall. Yeah, there we go. They've actually got a rotation through there. Oh, looks like, is that? There we go. So the hatch is going to be open from above. The C4 went out, but it wasn't enough to bring Typhon down. Instead, he's just going to have lost a lot of his HP as he attempts.
But he has to open up.
Well, yeah, he does, but they know exactly where he is, and he's very low at the moment. At least if he can get it open, then, you know, if he'd have been killed before that happened, you got none of your hard breaches, that would have been a really big problem there for FAV. But he's going to fall straight down into the site. That's not a good place to be, especially when there's a line of sight looking straight on into him. This means that he's pretty much stuck here. Labyrinth can just walk straight into that room and get him, but it doesn't really matter. The smoke's going to come out anyway. The diffuser, as you say, it's been dropped. That's a really difficult position to be in for FAV. They've just got to go for these frags now. Afro's able to get 2, but they still got to get down onto that site. Looks like number 2 is going to be looking down there to see what he can get. In goes the flashes as he starts to jump down with chloroform. They don't know where anyone is right now, and that's why they're going to get caught out there by tomorrow. The diffuser has been retrieved. Can it be placed?
And that's going to be the question. Afro managed to get his triple kill, though, able to put one more down. It's going to be a 2-on-2 situation now. Number 2 has recovered that diffuser. Stuns now coming in. Afro going to be going right after the peak. Tomorrow managed to get 1, secures that one instead of going for the transfer. As Afro gets his quad kill, he's now going to be going for that defuse. It's going to be all up to BD now to try and cancel this out, but he doesn't have the information, and that means the clock will be counting down. Is it going to be the X for Afro to make sure that this round will be secured, or is it going to be BD that will be able to put this heroic to an end? But it's not going to be happening. Afro with the Ace, making sure that FAV will still win it, even though there was such an early kill on the likes of Talon to start things off. Even with the diffuser dropped down onto the actual side, a bit too aggressive right there by challenging him by moving from the flank and going for the vertical. There's going to be Afro right there to save that round for FAV and maybe put them into a good spot.
I mean, that was a really disappointing conclusion there for Talon. I mean, not only did they get that opening kill, as you mentioned, but, you know, when the guy carrying the diffuser falls through the hatch, gets killed because he's trapped, and then leaves the diffuser in the middle of a site where most of the team are still there, of the defending team, that shouldn't be a scenario in which you can feasibly believe that the attackers are going to win. But they banded together, they came down, and even though they had that limited information, they were still able to win out a load of those gunfights. I mean, obviously, Afro just did fantastically getting the ace there and really pulled off a lot. And this is the kind of aggression that we've spoken about with FAV that Talon need to be careful about. When they can put them in that pressurizing situation, Talon will be weaker. And that's why they have to rely on a lot of this utility soak, utility denial, things like that earlier on in the round to put themselves in those advantageous positions. Now, they've actually brought out the mirror that you mentioned earlier. Not on the same site, of course. We are upstairs on bar. Oh, there are those beautiful bits of Afro. Nice. But again, this is going to put them in that position where they're going to try and have the early advantage onto Intel to be able to get the early kills and oppress FAV Gaming before they're put in a situation where they can frag out and get those late round kills that allowed them to win the last round.
All right, FAV winning that one due to a heroic play right there from Afro, able to get these kills time and time again, and it could have been easily solved if tomorrow for the kill secure, but instead would have transferred over to the Zofia. Could maybe done a bit more damage, forced them to play a bit more safe, as there goes your breaching charge, BMW. You're not going to be able to use that one for a hot breach anymore.
Sucks to suck.
I mean,
he was obviously waiting for the word go so that they will come in and just waiting for the information to be provided to him, but waited a little bit too long, and of course Talon were able to figure out where that was, but it does mean that PMW is going to have to be aware that of course someone is going to be on that window, but he's going to get a kill in the meantime. He gets traded out by Afro, and this is where FAV Gaming look like they could start to be a little bit more aggressive. Losing the Wamai means those discs aren't available, but Afro, he's not going to be using projectiles, he's just going to be using his gun like he did in the last round, and suddenly Talon are left with just 2 players remaining, and not even half the round is up. The diffuser been dropped there in Cigar, but that wasn't a problem last time. Afro again, this man is a monster. We were looking at number 2, but we should really be looking at him instead.
Oh, there we go for the finish. No, not even. Liberan's still alive, and it's eventually number 2, as you said, to get that final kill, but Afro just casually dropping 9 consecutive kills for his teams. Like, no one came in between that one. It's number 2 to deny him that second ace in a row, but that man is absolutely on fire right now. Afro, like, you need to shut him down, Talon, because if you're not going to be doing it, he's just playing with the suppressor, you know, going into the freezer, just taking them down one by one, spotting out the feet. The man is in, like, the key position right there, and the one be losing to start off with. And thus he is on 9-on-1 right now, after 2 rounds.
It's disgusting.
Yes.
Jess should consider giving up her pseudonym of Jess Goat and just, you know, taking the goat part, giving it to Afro. Yeah, Afro Goat, Afro. There we go. Can amalgamate the two. That's what you end up with. But now, at this point, Talon have tried a number of different things. They're coming back with the same composition that they did on the first round when they were in reading, which they did win. Evidently, they feel comfortable that that worked for them. When they went for having things like the mirror, having the Wamai, having the vigil when they were downstairs in kitchen, there's kind of more, I want to say mobile operators where you can be a bit more, you know, roamy. It hasn't worked out for them because they've been outgunned. And that's unsurprising. We spoke about it at the beginning. Talon have some good gunners on the team, but it's never been their forte. It's always been where they've been outclassed, especially on the roam game. They've had a much stronger anchor game than they have on the roam game historically. Now, obviously, as I say, this was the only site that they have won so far, so maybe they'll be feeling a bit more confident that they'll be able to do this once again. But if Afro is kind of on this tear and the momentum's good, then maybe FAV feel a bit more comfortable in just being more aggressive and going straight in. Opening up the door there while everybody else heads on upstairs. It seems like he's just going to prevent these runouts from occurring. Just pinging there onto the castle barricade as well. Have that opened up for him by number 2. But we'll really be looking out for some more aggression here from FAV, which is, it's just worked for them so well so far.
It definitely did, but the thing is, right, Talon should have won that second round to start off with, but it was just purely Afro being able to frag them out as they peeked them one by one. Like, over-aggression of Talon costed them that round there, and then Afro went for over-aggression, but he actually managed to make it work. So, like, FAV managed to win 2 rounds because of that. Talon right now, of course, as you said before, that they actually won, so maybe they're going to be able to stall enough time, try to keep them at bay for long enough to make sure that they will be able to get their second round in. But something that has been, well, key for the region and for Cafe is that it has been attacker-sided over the last Playday. We're going to have to wait and see whether or not that's going to be carrying a crossover today, because, well, right now it is, but in the end of the day, are we going to have more attack wins than defense round wins here as well? But hey, Afro is gonna be looking for some new frags, just getting on the drone, hoping to find some information, hoping to find out where these players are, and as a result, go for these aggressive plays. Basically combined together with number 2, who's opening up these angles right here, hoping to take enough of attention to make sure that Afro is going to be able to move through. There comes one. It's going to be able to drop down. No, X still standing here. He's going to get the vertical from Taipon right there. That will be taking him down. And that's the entry for FAV.
It's a good shot there from Taipon. We did see him previously on the red stairs just trying to hold up a potential flank from Talon, because that was something that they were allowed to do last time on this site due to the lack of air jabs that were placed there on the red stairs. So it just shows that FAV Gaming are thinking about these things a bit more. And they're kind of holding, you know, preventing those flanks through the power of manpower really more than anything. And you see so many of these players just have to be aware of this vertical destruction that's happening here. Labyrinth, he had a pretty good game the other day, but can he repeat such results? So far in this game, it's not been so lucky, and it looks like that is going to continue as Chloroform gets the kill onto him. Kills coming in for FAV, but less than 10 seconds remaining. Are they going to go for the diffuser or just go for the kills? There's only Tomorrow remaining, but he's holding his own. 1 second to go, but FAV Gaming, they finish him off, number 2 getting that final kill, and taking a round that so very closely could have gone to Talon to further their lead.
A lot of time right there, time constraints. Afro had to stick that plant right there. He couldn't get off, and well, he didn't know he was actually in that corner. Otherwise, that might have been the end of the round and the round for Talon. But it's going to be FAV that managed to take the 3-1 lead right here. This one was a bit more, well, divided across the teammates on who got the kills and who not. Not really the Afro show right now. But 3-1 current score. We're going back to Bar Cocktail. Is Talon going to be able to strike back, or are they going to be, well, basically picked apart by FAV again, like we've just seen happening? Only thing FAV has to worry about is their time management, especially on the side that we had the last time around. Seems to be a bit of a struggle.
Well, the thing is with this is, you know, when they brought the Havana before, and yeah, it was on a different site, but the Havana got picked off very quickly, obviously with that cheeky little spawn peak. And so FAV, when they come in and they have everybody available to them, it will make them look even more formidable. Once again, Talon have decided to bring the Jaeger and the Wamai, which will make it a lot harder for those projectiles to be spent. But it was PMW on the Wamai who went down very quickly. I believe he was the first death when they were here on Bar before. And obviously that made it significantly harder to be able to prevent things like that, given that you do lose those Wamai discs. They recharge rather than having a finite amount already set in your pocket. And so having him go down early means that utility that could be very key to you later on in the round gets taken away. And obviously putting up those castle barricades means that FAV could, you know, plan to use some of those projectiles for things like that. You also want to burn out the flashes that they have, but they do have 4 frag grenades. And so having things like the Jaeger and the Wamai with the ADSs and the magnets, you want to be relying on that a lot. And if they lose him early once again, then that could be detrimental. There goes the X-Kairos to open up. Ooh, that's a nice yeet. Drone going straight on into there. I just know that I would have missed that, and yeah, I'm not a pro player, but I'm always mesmerized when they can just perfectly get it into the window. But obviously drone's coming straight in, but number 2 going straight down. It's a good shot there from Tomorrow, looking straight out of the window on a white stairs.
Yeah, definitely so. That's the entry going down, this time in the favor of Talon yet again. Not by spawn peak, but by giving some aggression in. ADS being wasted right here by Chloroform, hoping to put the, well, allow Typhoon right there to get a grenade in, but BD doesn't seem to be harmed by it whatsoever. Stuck in his little bunker right there, not going to be too afraid. There's a different angle needed if you want to grenade that one, or you're just going to be wallbanging it as soon as you peek it, but BD already long gone, right behind the shield right here, tossing in these smoke canisters, denying Typhoon to go for such an eventual play.
Oh, seeing Afro just waiting patiently on the rappel, but you have to bear in mind that not all of those castle barricades have been dealt with. You can use the Sophia lifeline to deal with them, but you've lost your sledge, your soft to destruction, which means you have to expend that other utility. BD falling to Chloroform, that even stings out as far as man count goes. But as I was saying, those frag grenades, they're all gone. You've just got 3 flashes remaining on Shin. And so a lot of that utility that was available to FAV Gaming is no longer there. And on Talon, you have 4 defenders left. They've got that mirror window. They're all very close to the site. And FAV have to make their way over to the east side from the west. Typon's holding on to the diffuser, and he's just trying to hold on to the angle across bar, just in case Labyrinth takes the time to peek. Here's Chloroform sitting here on the skylight, looking down. Talon don't have to overextend here. This is the thing. FAV are the ones who are going to have to make the move forward, and actually seeing Shin drop down. There we go. Coming in through Fireplace. They're going to look to make their way up White Stairs, but tomorrow, he's there waiting for them.
He's definitely going to be waiting there for them, and as there's only 15 seconds left, FAV really need to get a move on right now. 14 seconds, we're counting down slowly and steadily. They push up to White Stairs. Is going to be here. This is the only way they can maybe potentially counter this off, but there's two guns watching that angle. Tomorrow will go down. It's up to Afro now to try and clear them out. He will get the first, he will get the second as well. He's going to be able to follow this up, but Typhoon will. Front's now going to be going down, and it's going to be Afro to come in clutch right there, and at the very last second, FAV is going to be able to at least still explode. As Afro basically clears this out single-handedly right here, making sure that Typhoon could go for a safe plant. Didn't expect the second one to be coming up the White Stairs, it seemed like, and well, 4-1 is the current scoreline. Afro with yet another huge round.
You mentioned before how in this region so far, everything looks so attacker-sided. And a lot of it is because the development of APAC is still ongoing. This is the first time that a lot of these regions have come together. They have to learn each other's playstyles. And as that skill ceiling starts to rise, that is where the defensive strategy and the defensive power will also start to get better. So it's kind of interesting, kind of bizarre to see on any map really, whether attacker or defended sided, such a lack of balance in how that is. It's all we've seen so far. But FAV are really proving in this game, more so than they did when they played against Cyclops on Playday 1, just how much they can achieve when they have it together, when they feel coordinated and they feel confident. Evidently, so much of this is a mental thing. Whether they had a first Playday shakes, whatever it was, they weren't playing quite like this. And of course, Cyclops, AP Gaming, and Talon have a different kind of pedigree, a different kind of history. And Talon is still, they're still learning, they're still up and coming, whereas Cyclops have a lot more that they have already proven. But nonetheless, this has been going very, very well for FAV. Now, of course, this was the site that FAV really had no business in winning when they did back on round 2. If you remember correctly, this was when Shin went down very early. You lost one of those heart breaches. And so we had to have the Maverick come and open the hatch. He fell through it, dropped the diffuser, and FAV had to send in the gunners to go and fix the situation by brute force going in through the kitchen. And it worked out for them. Really, they had no right for that to work out for them. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out here for FAV, especially as they have not yet lost their Hibana.
Drone ready.
Well, first skill's going to be down onto Afro. That's pretty disappointing there for FAV. PMW does get traded out though, so that's good positioning there. When you trade out one of your teammates, then ultimately you have won that. But the fact that they lost Afro is huge. Afro's he's done so much for the team, and he was a really, really integral part of why they won this site last time.
My mic muted itself.
Welcome back.
I was talking, and I was like, why is it not? What do you mean? But here we are. Thank you for the welcome back. I was saying the man is on fire after all, but then he got killed. So it's maybe good that it didn't catch up on stream. I was like, he's 12-1 right now. It's amazing, and then he died. But no, I mean, did I really? Because it didn't really show up due to me being muted. But anyway, they're going to be opening up the hatches right now. 90 seconds left, or 80 even, as we are still counting down. And right now, number 2 is going to be starting to open up these verticals to get some extra pressure down on the side. But if you're looking at it, there's no one in there. Everybody seems to be kind of around it, just dancing there. And I mean, they don't really have to. They just need to make sure that if someone drops the hatch, they will be taken down and dealt with accordingly. These grenades are not going to be able to find anybody. Except for a drone.
Did you just get a drone? His Chloroform's own drone? Well, that's a bit disappointing. That means they're going to kind of have to enter into the site blind if they do choose to go down the hatch. There's BD. He's just looking in from VIP. Not quite going to be able to get that angle on, but Typon has made his way in. He might as well go for the plant. There's no one around, and his team are going to be able to back him up as Talons start to collapse in on him. That's exactly what happens, as Egg will be the first to fall. But are they gonna keep on going? The plant has been abandoned and Labyrinth is downed. And that means that Tomorrow and BD have pretty much got all the responsibility on their shoulders, but they don't want to rush into anything just yet. But they've got to do something. There we go. Number 2 will be falling. Tomorrow traded out. Are FAV Gaming going to be able to do it? Yes, they are. Shin gets the final kill onto BD. And Talon Esports, you know, they thought maybe they could change things up on this site and be able to rectify the mistakes from last time, but it just wasn't to be. And now the site is going to be switched. And all FAV Gaming have to do is secure 2 rounds.
Yeah, all they need to do is secure 2 rounds on something that is supposedly a defense side map, Geo. However, in APAC, things don't always go down that way. We've seen crazy comebacks happen. Hashtag electrify. Go down for 5-0, 5-1, and bring it back to an 8-6. I mean, it's not impossible. Talon still have a good opportunity of doing it, especially if they manage to shut down Afro. However, shutting down Afro doesn't really instantly mean you win the round, as we saw last time around. You still have 4 other people available to pull the trigger in time, just like number 2. Taipon as well, able to show up whenever it's necessary. And let's see if they show up now, because 2 rounds right now, right after each other, that would be a good start, especially after, well, everybody's on a +2 round differential. Bringing in a 7-1 would be definitely huge to put you up, put up yourself quite well for future rounds.
Well, they showed at the beginning that the most popular operator for APAC on Playday 1 has been Ash, and that's exactly what tomorrow's going to bring, something that FAV didn't bring when they were on the attack. Suggests that they're going to be going a little bit aggressive, or at least make an attempt to. You know, after what we just saw with FAV Gaming, I'm not sure how much whatever it is that Talon have got up their sleeves could be considered aggressive, because we've pretty much seen the absolute quintessential aggression come out of FAV Gaming. But regardless, it's definitely a personal favorite of his. Tomorrow's definitely, you know, your classic Ash Jaeger main, but having Labyrinth on the Sphere with Tomorrow on the Ash, and of course PMW there on the Nomad. Once again, to mention, she's not banned. Air jabs are available, as well as that formidable weapon. If Talon can pull off the aggression that they want to do, then this will be pretty good for them. Do have the Havana as well, opting not to bring the Maverick with the M4. That means those frags aren't going to be there other than on BD. So if the sledge gets taken down, like we saw in the last round, you won't have those available to you anymore.
Trying to take care of the Mew Jimmer right there, but it's going to be located all the way in the left corner, meaning they're not going to be able to reach it. However, the right wall was going to be able to be breached if they want to go for that. It's going to be a personal preference right there, whether or not you want to go for that or not. It might actually be counted up by that Mew Jimmer that's next to the drone hole. That could be huge right there. Well, at least the 2 ADS. Oh, they all got destroyed. The 2 ADS and a Mew Jimmer by that grenade that didn't get caught by the ADS. You know, there's now going to be an opportunity for them to open up, even if they have that one Mew Jimmer just standing there. Shin is going to be able to open up that door. At least, well, basically putting down some pressure. That's going to be telling them, like, hey, I can come and run out. As Chloroform gets the first kill with that C4 into Tomorrow. And with 80 seconds left, it is going to be Talon that finds themselves 1 man down. And now they need to look. Okay, what can we do? How can we still get back into this round? Shin is looking to go for a run out. No one will be found, however, if he does. Egg is going to be peeked soon by Chloroform as they're just dancing around it right there. Chloroform gets that kill. It's now PMW right here, stuck behind him. He's also going to be taken down. A white swing to come in. It's a trade of both those players. It's only going to be BD and Labyrinth left right now in a 1-on-4 situation to try and clutch this out. And it looks like FAV Gaming is going to be able to get that first defense round in this straight away. It's going to be putting them on 6 and, well, 5 consecutive match points. BD will find 1 to start things off, but will he be able to find 3 more, Geo?
Well, not all hope is lost just yet. He needs to ensure that he can even pick up that diffuser and that there aren't going to be anyone around. That's exactly what he's going to go in and do now. The problem is going to be when he comes to face those remaining 3 members. And of course, they are Afro, number 2, and Taipon. 3 of the most dangerous players that we've seen today on this team, and they're gonna have some pretty solid angles on him right now. And there you go, number 2 takes him down very easily. And Hap, I have to say, I'm really impressed with the defense that was put up there by FAV, because they were able to very, very effectively waste the time of Talon. Not only did they get rid of the entry very early, but Talon weren't even really entered into the building until maybe 1 minute remaining. They had so much time where they were trying to get rid of that mute jammer, sort out everything that was happening there in piano. That meant there was a lot of time wasted, or not, well, yeah, wasted, I guess, while they were kind of sitting on the rappel. Time in which FAV knew the exact locations of them. That's why we saw Shin opening up the bakery door and getting prepared for a run out. He knew exactly where they were. And even then, Talon were very cautious when moving down towards red stairs. But then what we saw was once that time had been wasted with the utility that FAV had used, the players who were in Cigar actually pushed up really aggressively. I believe it was Egg who was holding onto the diffuser as he dropped down into Red Hatch, and he was holding very, in a kind of scared way, the angle because he knew someone was going to peek him. Now, in that situation, it should be the person who's not doing the peeking that has the advantage, but nonetheless, he wasn't able to hold his own. He went down straight away. And so it just goes to show that FAV, not only have they been effective at wasting time, wasting utility, but they can also play that very aggressive, scary defense that's going to force the attackers to play to their tune. And that doesn't spell really much optimism for Talon, especially as there's only one round to go, that if FAV win, Talon are done for.
Yeah, there's going to be 5 consecutive match points right now on the side of FAV, and that means Talon cannot afford a single mistake anymore. They're going to have to be picture perfect every single one of their attacks and hope that FAV is not going to be able to counter them off. Because even if your attack is perfect, it could still be that your defense is going to be superior. As Afro is going to get down, but he's going to get the kill onto Egg, which is a Maverick gone. Also the grenades out of play. And that's definitely going to be hurting Talon right there. So I would say that this trade is very in favor of FAV right here. Shin is still able. He's going to repel. It's going to be peeking out. So but it looks like BD is going to be watching it there. He comes. He's going to get punished for it. No single point of damage done. Still 2 grenades left on the board to use the Talon.
Good start here for Talon. Getting that free refrag onto Afro was definitely good news. And of course, BD being able to follow that just now, removing Shin off the board, who was the highest rated player from the game that they did play against Cyclops. So obviously you have to bear that in mind. Mozzie Drone, Mozzie Drone, I should say Pest, just being avoided there. And so that means that Talon can get their drones in. They don't have to worry too much about this denial that's been set out by number 2 in Chloroform with the Mute and Mozzie. They're playing a little bit patiently here. Not quite half the round is gone yet. Things are definitely looking more promising than they were last time. Mute Jam is going to have to be removed. But still, it's all kind of quiet for now. Interesting here, seeing the Jaeger and the Mozzie together. They're just holding onto those hatches.
Refragging
and
each other.
They'll be ready to... Well, they're in a good position as well, where they can just jump down into the dining room should they need to, the second that anything happens. It's going to make that entry so much harder. But PMW does get a good shot. Make that another one from Tomorrow onto Typon, and that leaves just Chloroform sitting in the site. It's a Mute, so it's not even like he has some smokes that he can throw out, which is what you would at least hope to see at the end there. But, you know, you see some amazing things happen with these SMG-11s. The question is, can he do it in a 1 versus 4? No! The answer is he cannot. And Talon live to see another round, but can they start to claw back the whole game?
And it's going to be the question, of course. Like, this one, you can point it down to the fact that 2 people died early on. By the Renouts, for example, that only leaves you back like left with 3. And yes, you killed the Maverick, which is a good thing. But then you go for a double roam play upstairs as well. I'm not sure what the idea behind that one was. I think you could have left that one and you could have played a little bit more near the site and try and deny people like that. Because FAV had that, man disadvantage, and Talon managed to use that perfectly. So even though they got a really good opening frag, they might have went a bit too aggressive and didn't really keep an eye on the objective in the end, which left only Chloroform left alive on the side at some point. And you don't really want to go in a 1-on-4 and reading with a minute left to go. There's no way you're going to be winning that one unless you have like insane aim and insane flex. But you saw the result there. It was Talon that won it in the end. FAV, however, now going back to kitchen, or going to the kitchen, I must say, because they haven't been here yet to see how they will be able to play this one out. Maybe they can cook something up, maybe they can cook up some good strategy, some good setup, and make sure that Talon stands no chance.
Well, yeah, as you say, they haven't been to this site just yet, so it's still a little bit unknown. Afro coming in on the pulse is going to make it a lot harder for Talon to be able to open up that hatch there in Fireplace, which they were able to do themselves very swiftly and very easily, and it really was the channel through which they were able to pass down into the site. So it's kind of like FAV think a lot about what they would do in this situation, and it's almost like they're kind of trying to counter their own, how they would go about their own attack. Also, bringing the Warden is interesting. It suggests that they're potentially expecting Talon to go for something like a smoke plant and just be kind of overwhelming from that respect. But I don't think that's really something they need to worry all that much about, looking at what Talon are bringing for their operator lineup.
Yeah, definitely. Like the other way, you would say maybe they would be, you know, using that shotgun as an extra. But that's also not the case, using the MPX right here. So maybe he's just afraid of being flashbanged in. He needs to sit still in his corner. I mean, he is playing in Harry Potter right there, so it could be indeed a smart choice to play a Warden here, but you also lose out on a lot of other utility right there. Grenade now being tossed in to get it with some flashbangs. Not going to be able to get the kill in. Typhoon managed to just survive and rotate himself around. Egg was flashed himself. It's going to be able to get the entry kill though, as it's going to be Chloroform to be taken down as soon as he throws in that C4. It's not going to get detonated whatsoever. It's only going to be Typhoon left alive right now, but it's going to be punished and pinched soon for sitting in this current location. 2 people right now in. It doesn't seem like they've actually spotted him. It gets 2. No, he just gets 1. Egg just manages to survive. That could have almost been a hero play right there from the Wamai. But it's going to be PMW to pick up Shin. And we'll retake that advantage right here. It's only up to Afro and number 2 right now. They started off strong by getting 1 each. And it's a 2-on-2 situation now. The diffuser dropped, but 90 seconds on the clock is plenty of time to recover.
Yeah, it certainly looks like things are in the advantageous spot here for FAV Gaming. I would say a 2 versus 2 on these 2 teams would roll in their favor, especially with it being Afro and number 2. Labyrinth does still have some of those lifeline charges, but used one just then and got cleared out by the ADS. So now they're both gone. You're going to be relying solely on your ability to shoot. And against these 2, they are pretty terrifying. They're holding on to these angles, and they know that Talon aren't going to be aware of where they are. That's why they're playing incredibly cautiously. They don't have any drones left, so you can see that by the little X's next to their drone symbols. You'd at least think maybe Labyrinth would put down a Claymore or something to prevent any kind of...
Maybe.
I guess not.
No need
and
to.
there we go.
Yeah, gonna be number 2 to get 1.
That leaves just 1 remaining on Talon. That's going to be Egg, and he's already really low HP. And this is going to be where this is Talon's game to lose. And Afro, he's lying prone behind, but he didn't even get a look in. Number 2's going to clean things up. Egg goes down, and FAV Gaming will win the match, and I'd say that was a pretty decisive victory that happened.
Yes, it's been the most decisive victory we have seen so far in APAC. As mentioned before, every single one ended in a round differential of 2 so far. This one is a +5, a bit more convincing. FAV showing that they're here to contest, and especially Afro with those 14 kills, just followed up closely by number 2 and 9. 2, well, outstanding players for FAV. And they took their first win right now. They came off of a loss, but they managed to at least take this one home and make sure that they're not out of it yet.
And the Cinderella story that's been working out so well for Talon so far this year in Korea seems to be crumbling beneath their fingers, as they're now sitting on their 2nd loss, and that's going to really punish them in the Swiss system, as they'll really struggle to claw their way back up that table. But it's certainly a good start here from FAV. They had a tough game against Cyclops Athlete Gaming yesterday, but they're trying to prove that they are still theirs, they're still formidable, and they're still worth being considered for the top of this leaderboard. And I would say from a lot of the play that we did see Hap, I would be willing to bet that, yeah, they belong at the top of this leaderboard.
Yeah, they definitely belong at the top of the leaderboard, but let's throw it back, I believe, to our beautiful analyst desks with the rankings so they can talk about what happened.
Thanks so much, Stein.